Imagine this. You've followed all the rules, worked hard, been kind to others, and done everything society told you would make you happy. Yet here you are lying awake at night, feeling empty, unfulfilled, and wondering if this is all there is to life. You're not alone. Millions of people across the world are experiencing what psychologists call the paradox of modern success, achieving everything they thought they wanted, only to discover it means nothing. We live in an age of unprecedented comfort, technology, and opportunity. Yet depression, anxiety, and existential crisis are at all-time highs. The very system that promised us happiness has delivered the opposite. But this isn't an accident. It's a feature of how modern society has been designed. To understand why good people feel so lost, we need to dive into the psychology of meaning, purpose, and what it truly takes to feel alive today. We're going to explore one of the most uncomfortable truths about human nature, that safety and comfort, the things we've been taught to pursue, might actually be making us miserable. We'll uncover why our ancestors, despite having less, often felt more fulfilled than we do today. And most importantly, we'll discover what it really takes to build a life worth living. Picture two people. One is a warrior, facing daily challenges, fighting for survival. Every victory earned through struggle and sacrifice. The other sits in a comfortable room, scrolling through social media, ordering food with a tap, never having to face real danger or uncertainty. Which one feels more alive? Which one has a stronger sense of purpose? Our brains evolved over millions of years to handle struggle, uncertainty, and challenge. We were designed to hunt, to build, to overcome obstacles. But modern society has eliminated most of these challenges. We've created a world so safe and predictable that our deepest psychological needs are no longer being met. Psychologists have discovered something called the hedonic treadmill. The tendency for humans to quickly return to baseline happiness levels despite positive or negative events. That promotion you worked so hard for, the relationship you thought would complete you, the house, the car, the vacation. They all provide temporary joy before fading into the background of your everyday experience. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Meaning doesn't come from comfort. It comes from overcoming. When everything is easy, nothing feels significant. When all your needs are met without effort, you lose touch with what it means to truly need something. The good people who feel empty aren't broken. They're responding naturally to an unnatural environment. For thousands of years, humans lived within grand narratives. Religious stories, cultural myths, shared purposes that gave life meaning beyond individual pleasure. Modern society has dismantled these stories without replacing them with anything equally powerful. We've been left adrift in a sea of relativism, told that all meanings are equal, which ultimately means no meaning is special. Psychologist Barry Schwartz revealed a startling truth. Too much choice makes us miserable. When our ancestors had limited options, they could find contentment in their circumstances. But when every path is possible, when every lifestyle is valid, when every dream is supposedly achievable, we become paralyzed by infinite possibility and tormented by the fear that we're choosing wrong. Social media has created an artificial world where everyone appears to be living their best life. We compare our inner reality, full of doubt, struggle, and ordinary moments, with others' carefully curated highlights. This comparison trap convinces good people that everyone else has figured out the secret to happiness while they're fundamentally flawed. Modern society has convinced us that our worth comes from our productivity, so our achievements, our ability to optimize and improve. But this creates an endless cycle of striving without arriving. We become human doings instead of human beings, measuring our value by our output rather than our essence. Research in psychology and neuroscience reveals that humans feel most alive when they re-engaged in three key experiences: challenge, connection, and contribution. We need obstacles to overcome, deep relationships to nurture, and purposes greater than ourselves to serve. Modern life, in its quest for ease, has inadvertently eliminated these sources of vitality. Psychologist Csikszentmihalyi discovered that people report the highest levels of life satisfaction when they're in flow, completely absorbed in challenging activities that match their skill level. This isn't about comfort or pleasure, it's about engagement, struggle, and growth. The emptiness so many feel comes from a life devoid of flow experiences. Researcher Brown found that people who live wholehearted lives share one common trait: they embrace vulnerability. They're willing to face uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. The good people who feel empty often do so because they've built walls to protect themselves. But those same walls keep out the experiences that make life meaningful. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychologist, discovered that meaning comes not from what we get from life, but from what we give to it. Those who survived the most extreme suffering were those who found ways to serve something greater than themselves. Modern emptiness often stems from being too focused inward, on personal happiness rather than meaningful contribution. The path out of emptiness isn't about avoiding pain. It's about choosing your pain wisely. Instead of the meaningless suffering of boredom and emptiness, we must embrace the meaningful suffering of growth, challenge, and service. This requires a fundamental shift in how we think about discomfort. Nassim Taleb introduced the concept of anti-fragility, systems that get stronger from stress. Good people who feel empty have often become fragile, avoiding all discomfort. The solution is to gradually expose yourself to chosen difficulties, building your capacity to handle life's inevitable challenges while finding meaning in the struggle. In the absence of cultural rituals, we must create our own. Daily practices that connect us to something larger than ourselves, whether through meditation, physical challenge, creative expression, or service to others. These rituals provide structure and meaning in an otherwise chaotic world. Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler taught that much of our suffering comes from seeking universal approval. Good people often feel empty because they've molded themselves to please others, losing touch with their authentic desires and values. Reclaiming your life means accepting that not everyone will understand or approve of your choices. Moving from emptiness to fulfillment requires a fundamental identity shift. Instead of seeing yourself as someone seeking happiness, you must become someone creating meaning. Instead of asking what will make me happy, ask what kind of person do I want to become, and how can I serve something greater than myself? Much of modern emptiness comes from living in the past or future rather than the present moment. Good people often feel empty because they're not actually experiencing their lives. They're rethinking about them, analyzing them, comparing them. Learning to be fully present transforms ordinary moments into meaningful experiences. Paradoxically, meaning comes from accepting limits rather than pursuing infinite possibility. When you choose your constraints, committing to specific relationships, values, purposes, you create the boundaries within which genuine freedom and meaning can flourish. Building a meaningful life isn't about quick fixes or life hacks. It's about playing the long game, making choices today that your future self will thank you for. This requires patience, consistency, and the wisdom to delay gratification in service of something greater. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfortable numbness of modern life, safe, predictable, and ultimately empty. The other leads into uncertainty, challenge, and the possibility of genuine fulfillment. Most will choose comfort, but you're not most people. The emptiness you feel isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that you're capable of more. Your dissatisfaction is your soul's way of calling you toward a bigger life. The question isn't whether you deserve to feel fulfilled, it's whether you have the courage to pursue fulfillment even when it's difficult. Good people feel empty not because they're broken, but because they're living below their potential. You were not designed for mediocrity, comfort, or playing it small. You were designed to struggle, to grow, to contribute, and to become. The path out of emptiness isn't about finding yourself, it's about creating yourself. If this exploration of meaning and purpose has resonated with you, if it's challenged your assumptions about what makes life worth living, then subscribe to continue this journey. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, the life you were meant to live is waiting on the other side of your fear.